wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, go like thunder, gonna sacred ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milan. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
And hello and welcome to the Wolfman's Call. It is Tuesday. We call it Titanic Tuesday. All that's going on. So happy you can join us here. Oh, man. This is cool. Hey, you see this? Happy Valley, Penn State, PSU. That's coming up 50-plus days, man. Look at this. Mountaineers, are you ready? Are you ready? Not only physically, are you ready from here on up? It's going to be a challenge, boys. Let's get it going. Let's get ready. Right now, they got it ready as the third toughest place to play. Wow, you got to understand, you got to know, and you got to be ready to go. And let's go ahead and get right at it right here. We're going to talk about this, and this is the network. Right there, the Wolfman's Call Network, second day of it. We're getting more and more people, more and more places really interested in this, and this is so important. So let's start it off then. We go to Brickside Bar and Grill. Robbie Davis, man, eat local. Then we're going to move on up to Fairmont. That was Bridgeport, Fairmont. And we're going to go to the Mason Jar BBQ and More. Unbutton those britches. And up to Morgantown, you got Lakeview Golf Resort up there with Legends Golf Sports Bar and Resort. And, of course, you got the Mountaineer Tap House with Melissa there. You got to love it there. Mason Jar Saloon and Hotspot again, Steve Reese. Man, you got to just dig the barbecue. And, of course, we have the Pallet Bar. Hey, what's up, baby? Haley. Yep. Can't wait to get down there. 24 craft beers rotating. And Route 22 Sports Bar up in Weirton, West Virginia. Bottoms up draft system. We're so happy you are involved. If you want to get involved in the Wolfman's Call Network, man, all you got to do is email wolfmanscall@gmail.com. That's wolfmanscall@gmail.com. And you're there watching it today. What's up? Join in the conversation when I drop the link. It's all going to be open later on in the show. And speaking of the show, let's go ahead and let's get to our guests that we have today. Starting out with special Hall of Fame strength and conditioning coach. That's the USA. And, of course, with CSCCa, Allan Johnson. Coach, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, Wolf. How you doing? How's your day going?
Oh, I'm fired up, man. I just saw Penn State. I got the juice going. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. And that brings me to the next one. And we have Hall of Famer Hoops, man, and probably the Wolfman's Call resident right now, and that would be Darryl Prue. What's up, DP?
What's up, Wolfman? How you doing, Allan? Nice to see you,
great.
man.
Good to see you, Darryl.
That's right. Very good, man. We're going to keep rolling on here. And first timer on the Wolfman's Call show. And this is Lee Javins, former Mountaineer linebacker and part of the Bailey, Javins, and Carter LC. I had to make sure I did that right. What's up, Lee?
What's going on, Wolf? How you doing? Hey, fellas, how you all doing?
Oh,
Good,
my
Lee. How you
God.
Good, man. How you doing?
All right.
Hey, did he play middle linebacker or did he go to modeling school? And last but not least, it's our favorite resident. He's always there, always opening up, always questioning. We're going to bring on the viewpoint from Mountaineer Nation, and that is Hawkeye, Keith Hawkins. Keith, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Keith, how you doing?
You doing good, Keith? How you doing?
Good.
You seem very relaxed, Keith. Very relaxed. Good job right there, buddy. All right. Well, we got a full day ahead of us. Listen, for all of you out there, you just joined the network. You know, if you want to participate, you can go ahead and you can just get on the social media. You can text it, or you can go on and link and ask questions. Or when I drop the link, you can actually come on here and spend time with Hall of Fame strength and conditioning coach Allan Johnson. How you doing, Al?
I'm doing great, Wolf. I appreciate the opportunity. Hey, man, what a great group of panelists here. I tell you what, it's if I'm a fan out there, man, I tell you what, today's the day to jump on and Q&A us. You know, there's a lot of things going on, obviously, in Mountaineer sports, and today'd be a great day to ask us questions.
Yeah, you really want that today. I can tell. And you know what's funny is I call it the Fabulous Five, but it should be the Fabulous Four and then me because, you know, it's probably not a good thing I'm including myself in the Fabulous Five panel. So honestly, you know, I'm going to take that hit today. So we're going to just call it Fabulous Four. And with that being said, you know what I mean? I got to do it. I have to do that. But right off the bat, let's go ahead and get this up for DP. DP, tell us what's going on with this, man. That we got it going on here, and you know this is your camp, and you got a couple things happening here, and the game on Saturday.
Yeah, so the game on Saturday is this new league called Alumni Basketball League. Last year, Georgetown played Maryland at Maryland University. Now Maryland University alumni will come up to Fairmont State and play West Virginia in a game on Saturday, July 15th.
All right, and moving on down to that. Speaking of Toothman basketball camp, that's Toothman 4, DP.
Yep. So I've been doing camps for him for the last couple of years. It's free camp for the kids of Grafton. We had a nice turnout the first couple of years, and hope we had COVID, so we had to shut it down the last couple of years. So hope we have a nice turnout. So I'll be up there in West Virginia for about a week.
All right, very good. And Al, that makes me want to start out. Well, let's talk about you've been doing a weekly series, and you're not going to be here Thursday because you're going to be in Las Vegas. I think you told me, which is that doesn't suck. Usually you do your series on Thursday. That doesn't suck. So we're going to do a combination here. Get a little bit into development. I got this panel. It's fabulous for you guys, and I think that people are going to start, getting in here and saying, what questions do you have? And let's open up. Go ahead, Al. Start us off now.
Oh, Wolf, I tell you what, you've talked about several things the last 2 or 3 weeks. The thing is, really gearing, when you think about athletic development, is gearing it to, young athletes. And the five things, and I talk about young athletes, 5 things is for me are like pillars. I think about, what are the things that the most simplistic things that, kids, that we want to develop kids as far as athletic development. And one is, the big thing is movement. We've all seen athletes that are strong, not very mobile, couldn't run, couldn't jump, but speed. We're talking about linear speed. People say that, you can't improve speed. I wouldn't agree with that. I think you can improve speed by, in teaching someone how to run. Sometimes we assume his dad or his mom, they were slow, they were fast, so they're destined to be slow or fast based on their genetic pool. And that's not always the case, but, speed. That thing about agility, you talk about changing direction, you talk about the ability to move. You look at basketball, you look at football, you look at soccer, you look at some of these different sports. It's not all straight ahead linear speed. You've got to be able to change direction. The other thing we touched on, and these are 5 pillars, was flexibility. Flexibility. I don't know how many male athletes out there, but I mean, no one enjoys stretching. No one enjoys.
Yeah, you know what? I do not enjoy stretching whatsoever. In fact, the last few years I might have gotten a little bit tighter.
What's that?
I might have gotten a little bit tighter in my back.
Oh, there's no question. There's no way. What do they say? If you don't use it, you lose it. And you know, you get tight, you get inflexible, you don't move as well. I mean, as you progress through life, obviously, like you just mentioned, and unless you work on it, you get tighter. But especially young athletes, I mean, gosh, I mean, you can improve their movement skills, their jumping ability, just by keeping them flexible. And, you know, with the younger athlete, I mean, all these things you're talking about: speed, quickness, speed, flexibility. I mean, you've got to incorporate it and make it challenging. You got to make it fun. Nutrition. You know, the question I always had, and probably Lee and Darryl maybe or may not remember this, is, you know, you talked about, geez, I want to gain weight. I can't gain weight. What's the deal? You know, I'm stuck at this weight. You know, one question I would propose to athletes is this. I'd ask you one question. Do you eat breakfast? And if you don't eat breakfast, it tells me a lot about your DNA. It tells me a lot about your character. It tells me a lot about your motivation, that you're probably too lazy to eat breakfast, or you're getting up so late that it's already brunch, so you've already missed a meal. So nutrition is a big component in terms of one of the pillars of development. The last one is sleep and recovery. I mean, we know athletes of all ages burn the candles at both ends. I mean, with video games, whatever it may be. But, you know, if you're not getting 8 to 10 hours rest a night, I mean, if you're playing like in Darryl's talking about, you know, playing in a league, you're talking about playing in a tournament. I mean, how well you recover, what kind of sleep you get, what kind of sleep patterns you get into, determines how much success you potentially could have. But those are 5 really big pillars. You know, what I'd like for anyone out there that's listening, you know, shoot me questions. I would like to answer your questions, and, you know, regardless of age group, to possibly help you with your young daughter or son as far as their athletic development. But, and then it's something that can obviously be improved.
Yeah. Well, listen, before we go any farther with that, let's just go ahead and open it up to the panel. I'm going to go, when we talk about speed and, let's say, lack of flexibility, I immediately go to my bro, Lee Javins.
Why?
I say, Lee, I want to know, man, what do you think about that, the training with the speed, flexibility that coach used to bring? Because you were a part of it, man. And all kidding aside, what do you think and about where I guess where our culture, our young kids are nowadays when they're in there watching their video games, playing their video games, watching their videos? You know, what's happening with your viewpoint, brother?
Well, I'll start by saying that one of my great privileges was being taught by Al as my strength coach out of you know, coming from Boone County, and our whole worldview was, if you want to play at West Virginia, you need to be strong. And I had a one-track mind. I had a pretty good bench press, which is all we did back then, and I didn't appreciate how important. And it was, by this point, I won't say it was too late, but I didn't appreciate how important athleticism and speed are until I got to West Virginia. And I worked on it. I worked on it really hard. But, you know, that was a real eye-opener. That was the biggest eye-opener for me. And Al stressed that so much. And he was ahead of his time. Dale, you know that. I mean, we were doing stuff back in the 80s that no one else was doing yet. But here I am. I'll turn 55 here pretty soon, next month. And it's still important to me. And sleep is more important than ever. And matter of fact, funny story, I just spent the weekend with my wife and daughter at a yoga retreat. And
you really just revealed that?
Yeah, I just revealed it. I did. And I can't believe I'm sharing it. But I got to tell you, brother, whatever it takes. And, I want the next, however many years I got left, I want to enjoy them. Yep. And so I wish I would have taken you seriously when you told us to stretch back in the day, because we didn't. I don't know that any of us did.
Well, you know what, man? I didn't know how much we had to, because we were doing aerobics with the aerobic instructor, and she got stretching in the movement. Right. So it was ahead of time, and we were warming up and stretching. But I know when you talk about doing the yoga and retreats, I know Hawkeye, Keith Hawkins, definitely was just there with you. Keith, what do you know about this, man? Bring it in, man. Tell us about what you think and you hear about LJ. You've been listening every week to Coach Johnson now and everything he's been talking about. And you got a young one yourself. So go ahead, shoot.
Well, I get everything Al's saying. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I would tell you if I couldn't.
Okay. Of course, with my little one, she has some limitations, Coach, and she does occupational and physical therapy. One thing that they emphasize is stretching with her. She's 11. So obviously stretching is very important. She's almost like a stroke victim on one side. So she's limited. You actually met her last summer.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes. It's a Darryl Talley event.
Yes. So you kind of seen her.
Go ahead and tell everybody who she is. Daughter.
It's Zyler Hawkins. Of course, Dale calls her Z Girl, and I think that's stuck. Everybody knows her as Z Girl.
Yeah.
Right on.
But one thing, Coach, that I'd like to touch on real quick and just get your opinion. This 20-8 rule for college athletes, the 20 hours during the season, 8 hours out of season. How does that affect weight training when you only get that player for a total of 20 hours through the week? That encompasses everything: practice, film, scrimmage. Back in your day with Dale and Lee, how many hours a day did you spend in the weight room with them?
Easily. I mean, of course, you didn't have as much compliance, didn't have as many rules, but you might easily spend 3 hours a day easily. I mean, easily maybe 15 hours a week. And and when you go to this rule, which is it's a good rule in some respects. I mean, because some coaches are out of control, and what I mean by that is they don't take into consideration the athletes actually have they have a life outside of the building, outside of their sport. But I think it's good in terms of protection for the athlete. But in reference to your question, the 28 rule, 20 in season and 8 out off season, that's the minimum amount. And what it does not restrict the athlete, those that are motivated to spend extra time. I mean, you take Darryl. I mean, with skill development. I mean, there was never a time where I'm sure Coach Catlett said, "Hey, practice is over. No, put all the balls away. You can't work on extra shooting." That never happened. And that's the same way. I mean, those rules are in place those are minimal standards to protect the athlete. But I think those that are motivated go above and beyond. They spend extra time. And the thing is, I think as strength coaches, I guess I hope I can speak for most of us or most coaches. I think you're more organized. We're more precise. We're more conscious of our limitations time-wise, and we try to, there's a point in time where training where more was better. And I think over the last 20 years, it's been a thing where, hey, let's train smarter. Let's don't train dumber. Let's train because, again, we talk about recovery, rest. I mean, if I'm training you exponentially excessive of 2 to 3 hours a day, in all likelihood, your recovery coming back for the next day is going to be very limited. The amount of output, the amount of effort, the amount of energy that you're going to be able to expend is going to be reduced because of the residual effects from the day before. So I think it's good. It's just, those that are motivated, stay and work extra. I know when I was at Northwestern University, the strength conditioning coach, after 2 hours, would say, "Hey, from this point on, this workout's completely voluntary." And you'd have 50, 60 athletes that would stay extra, do extra work. And those are the ones, historically on Saturday, contributing team were more successful.
Yeah. Al, let's go ahead and throw that right to DP there, because DP, you were a basketball coach and you coached in that at Georgetown. And how did that 28 affect you? Same thing for Dale to you.
We used to tape the doors so nobody knew what we were doing. So he had tape.
Is that John Thompson Sr.?
It was before they built that new facility. We put tape on the doors. All the doors was locked, so you had to call somebody to get in. But to go back to what Allan said, if Jeff Green and Roy Hibbert didn't go extra time to see the weight guy, who did a really good job with him, especially with Roy, because Roy, I'm 56, and I could probably beat him in running at the same age when he was 18. And that changed. We taught him how to run. He won, like Allan said. He told him, you could see the difference when he started running. He was going heel toe. Then all of a sudden, it started smoothing out as his bodies got stronger. But it was the extra time they went up there. Jeff was doing it a little too much. He was doing it right when he declared for the draft. I was like, nobody, I don't think the scouts will come to see you lift weights. They come to see you shoot the basketball. So, but he, it was that extra work for them that put him over the top.
Hey, you know what, DP? Let me ask you this: how has weight training in basketball changed for you? Al, weren't you also over all the strength and conditioning for all sports? Yeah.
Back then it was more get bigger. They wanted me to be strong and bigger.
You were skinny.
No, I was low out of shape, a little heavy when I first got there. But I got hurt, but I never, the flexibility was there, but not like it is now. And they do more core stuff now than they did back then. It was just, bench press, this and that, which was cool. It didn't bother us, but I didn't have a leader when I first went to West Virginia to show us what to do all the time. You know what I mean? So when I became the senior, I try to lead the other guys so they know it's okay to be in there. So, that's some of it too. When you got somebody that's, leading the way, it's easier for the other guys to follow.
Okay. All right, Al. So let's talk about the other pillars there. And, when you talk about overtraining, man, and taking that good, you burn out. You just burn out. And, how do you stop from doing that? How do you pace yourself? Because I have all this, I'm a parent and my kid is really shows signs of being excellent. So I really want to train them and I want to get them going, but I don't want to burn them out. But then they burn them out.
I can answer that one.
Yeah. Wolf, you're saying how to prevent them from getting burned out?
Yeah, that's what I want to know, man. Because they just burn them out.
Let them play other sports.
Yeah, let them play. But hey, it's been a proven fact the best athletes are those that play multi-sports. It's not that the athletes, especially at a young age, gosh, don't let them pigeonhole. And I think Darryl, maybe Lee and Keith would agree is that, don't let them limit themselves just to one sport because there's such a carryover and there's a cross-training effect with playing other sports. And maybe if basketball is your primary sports, other sports you play are only going to enhance and improve your main sport. If you have, maybe you haven't chosen a main sport, but it's crazy. It's, and the signs of burnout and, things is, first of all, your kid's always tired. Let's say if they're getting that, 7 to 10 hours sleep a night and they're coming to practice or in the games, it looks like they're wearing concrete blocks on their feet, and they're not moving as well. They're tired. That's a residual effect of burnout, too much. I've seen coaches, I tell you what, it's insane. I've seen coaches before, and you guys have seen the same. I've seen coaches before a big contest, 24 to 48 hours for the contest, they're bludgeoning them with conditioning. And then they get on the court and you're like, well, geez, they got no legs. They can't run. They can't jump. Well, no duh. You did what you've done to them. And I think that, the other thing is motivation. I think that you guys would agree is that, geez, if when kids get burnt out and they get tired, then their motivation level is low. You say, okay, hey, we're going to the gym today, for the 9th day in a row with no break. And what I'm saying is that if it's their idea, if they're eager and they're enthusiastic and they're motivated to go to the gym, to go to the field, to go to the court, whatever it may be, then you've got a better chance of success to make them a better athlete.
Mm-hmm. All right, Lee, you got any questions there for Coach? We're on the topic right now.
Well, I was just going to say, if any of us were to go to a Little League football game, let's say 12-year-olds, younger, soccer, basketball, and you polled the parents and asked them how many of them think their kid has a shot at D1, it's remarkable. Everybody thinks their kid is a D1 talent, and that's part of the problem because they put them in that single track and there's no playing basketball for the sake of enjoyment, and then playing football, baseball, so on. But I'm telling you, I find it remarkable how many of my friends think their kids are D1 talent, in the local high school and so on and so forth. And I think that's part of the problem, kid burnout.
Lee, do you actually say anything to them? Like you say, no, he's not, or no.
No, but I do kind of throw hints around that, most communities this size, you kind of figure out who's got potential at D1 at about age 12. You kind of know which kids are just different. Randy Moss was different than everyone else here in the Valley. And we don't have that many, for the most part, we know who we got a kid from Charleston playing soccer at WVU. And he played with my daughter on the same youth team. We knew he was different. His name's Dick Trethaway. He plays on the WVU soccer team. We knew he was different back when he was 10. And no one else on the field looked like him. And, you kind of know, but everyone, at any little kid soccer game, everyone thought their kid was D1. Meanwhile, when this kid's running around them in circles. So I think that's part of the problem because the parents voice a lot of expectations on the kids. It's the parents trying to relive their youth or be a better version of themselves or something. And I don't think that helps.
Now, I'd say you're probably right. So, Keith, you spent a lot of time with youth sports, going around observing. Honestly, you went to the All-Star games. Just the last one here with the high school. What are you seeing out there for talent and that whole youth movement out?
Well, as a high school football official for 20 plus years, I'm on a football field 13, 14 weeks every year. We've got some talent here in West Virginia, but it's like Lee said, the parents at the high school level, everybody thinks their kid is going to the league. Not D1. They're going to play NFL football. 20 plus years, I've only seen a handful of players in the state of West Virginia that you knew when you seen them, when they were playing, they were D1 talent. Now, there were some that maybe walk on, get the opportunity, and they develop into a D1 player. And at the youth level, it's an absolute train wreck, guys. It is a train wreck out there.
No doubt about it. All right. Well, that's a great discussion.
Hey, Darryl, what do you see from your perspective with parents in terms of thinking their kid's a D1 player? I mean, how do you handle that? Because obviously you've been at a very high level and you know what it's supposed to look like. I mean, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to that? I mean, you've seen a bunch of overbearing helicopter parents, right?
It's the worst. It's the worst. I've watched it.
That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, it's the worst. I don't know if you know. I got hit by a parent coaching the kid at TC Williams.
I didn't know.
and his kid was out for a month, and 2 days later he wanted to play. He wasn't ready to play. He was in the walking boot. So it's that. I went to an 8-year-old game. I was working at the recreational center, and the referee comes to me and asks me to walk into his car. I'm like, "What you mean, walk into the car?" So the parents were getting on us. So I go in there, warn the parents, but they wouldn't calm down. So I threw all the parents out of the recreation center. They couldn't watch their kids play. 8-year-old. Like, this is crazy. I mean, like, and then, coaching high school, coaching AAU, like, I'm very truthful on what I evaluate on talent. You know what I mean? So, at between 8 and 12, 13, you don't know where the kid might change in a minute. You know what I mean? They might be very bad, and all of a sudden, the light cuts on and they're very good. I said, but they get to 15, 16, 17, you kind of know where they are. And they don't like the truth. I don't think he's D1, but he has a chance to get there. He does this, he does that. They thought, well, you don't like my son. You don't like my kid. I said, no, I didn't say that. I just said, you got to work on some things. You know what I mean? So they take what they want to hear. They take all the positive stuff. They listen to the wrong. I always say this, in basketball, listening to the wrong people has ruined a lot of basketball careers. You know what I mean? Because just like another sport, they listen to the wrong people. The uncle, oh, you're good. The cousin, oh, you're good. Maybe you're just okay. Maybe you're good in Boone County, in Washington, D.C., and Fort Washington, Maryland, but you're not going to be good everywhere else. So it's a big problem in youth sports.
You know what the bottom line is? Don't turn your back on a parent. They might get whacked. All right, Bob, we're gonna have to change the conversation here, and let's go ahead and play this commercial first, and we'll keep you right here.
Hi, I'm Abby Pearson from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar rewards card. Food, gas, groceries, and more. We are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
All right. Well, listen, guys, we got to change the subject now. We're gonna have to keep going on this conversation that we talked about yesterday. Big Monday, Titanic Tuesday, and obviously Bob Huggins continues to stay in the media, and he comes out yesterday after the show, DP, that we were in this, and it comes up with his release that I'm going to go ahead and put out here right now, and we're going to check this out here. And you see the release here, and the release is basically saying is that he did not officially go ahead and resign. He did not do it the legality-wise, according to him. He is not going to have any legality issues with the actual DUI case. He is saying that he's going to resume his active duties when so much has gone on before. And at the bottom there, and Hawkeye, Keith brought this up, he says that he was going to review the employment agreement, but go ahead and try to come in and talk to him and kind of like meet up. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to bring it. I'm going to tell you why I brought Lee on here, because he was smart. And I just wanted to know, Lee, let's go back to with his lawyer company. Lee went with Oliver Luck and got us out of the Big East. When I say us, I'm saying WVU. He was part of that whole process of having to lawyer up just to figure out what the whole situation would be to get out of the Big East. So again, Lee, let's go ahead. Let's jump into this. You know a little bit about university legalities. Although this is not your field, I'm going to say it out there for you now. But where does it stand?
Yeah. So, my greatest contribution to Mountaineer sports is negotiating the deal to get us out of the Big East. Had nothing to do with anything on the field. So
everybody has a role.
Right. So I'll start with this caveat that employment law is not my what I do every day. It's not my wheelhouse, but I'm a lawyer, and I run a small business, so I have some appreciation for what's going on here. And normally, like in any case I work in, a lawyer will file something, and sometimes I can see, I see what you're doing, well played, and I need to deal with that. And I'll just say I don't understand, because I thought the letter that the general counsel wrote back, which was, you asked us how you wanted to resign, you had time to think about it. And you resign, and we accepted that resignation. You don't get to undo that. And I thought her letter was really, really well laid out, outstanding. And I don't understand. I don't see how this ends, unless it's simply to, hey, let's put it this way. When you have a job, anybody can be fired for any reason. Most people don't have employment contracts. I don't know the details of Coach Huggins' employment contract, but most people, all right, you get fired. Well, then you're entitled to unemployment benefits, right? And that's what you get. But if you feel like you were fired for a bad reason, then you go back to your employer and you object. It's like, I don't want unemployment benefits. I want my pay. You fired me for a bad reason. I was a whistleblower. I was pointing out unsafe work conditions. You fired me for a bad reason. I want all my money. And so it feels a little bit like that, but we have an employment contract here. And what a lot of employers do is they don't fire someone. They invite them to resign and do a severance package. Here's you a 3-month cushion, a 2-year cushion, whatever. Leave, and let's don't talk about this again. And so it feels like he wants a reevaluation of whatever's on the other side of this contract, because I got to believe that there were phone calls between the AD perhaps Gordon Gee, and I would imagine the coach himself, because they're friends. And you don't want to, what happened was awful. And I got to imagine the conversation would have gone something like, listen, we've got a board of governors to answer to. This is the second infraction in a little over a month, because remember, he got suspended, for saying something that was not kind. And so, listen, we got people to answer to, and the board of governors isn't your mom and dad's board of governors. I mean, these are people who are heads of industry across the country anymore. It's not West Virginia folks who feel beholden to the coach. And so, one option is we fire you for cause. I'm guessing there's a morals clause. That's not good. That means we don't owe you a thing. The other option is we work out a severance package and you resign and maybe keep your dignity or something like that. And it feels like the conversation was something like that. And whatever the walking away bargain is, maybe isn't to his liking, or maybe he thinks he's going to come back and coach the team. I guess the end is I don't understand. The lawyers that Coach Huggins had before, Rocky Gianola, Bob Fitzsimmons, all that team, they know what they're doing. They're quite capable. And I just feel like I don't understand the end game that this Campbell guy, I don't, maybe I'm looking at a checkers board and he's playing chess. I don't know, but I don't see how this ends well for Coach. But, we'll see. But as things sit right now, I don't get it. I guess I'll leave it at that, and which isn't much of an answer. But I think the university's done. I think they're in a solid position right now. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so actually, when you said it before, you were going to leave it like you don't know. You actually just came through at the end there and said your side is you think the university is in pretty solid shape.
Based on what I've seen so far, and I haven't said that, I don't have the benefit of seeing the contract, but I mean, who resigns and cleans out their office and says, no, I reconsider. I get a whole month to reconsider. And so here's the only other thing I'll add. And so, okay, the only way you can back out of a contract is I wasn't of my right mind. I didn't have the capacity because I wasn't in my right. Were you drunk? I'm sorry. I mean, I hate to say it, it sounds insensitive. Were you drunk when you resigned? I don't think you were. And so, to me, that's all I see on the other end of this new firm saying, "Hey, listen, we got an angle. You're going to say you weren't in your right mind when you resigned, and we got a plan for you. You were not in your right mind, and so I don't know. That's
good job, Lee. You just dropped the bomb right there. All right, I appreciate it. I said this is the Wolfman's call. We're gonna call it out. He's got your opinion. I got you on the show to drop the bomb. All right, you started off with that. I don't see Keith there. I think you're.
That's just between us, right?
Yeah, just between us and a few others. But regardless, Keith, what's your take on this, man? What angle do you see here? You see that last paragraph you want to talk about?
Well, I think Lee kind of covered it. Who cleans their office out and 2 days later decides they're going to go back to work? I think the writing's on the wall. And isn't that Farmer Klein and Campbell, aren't they tied to Hugs? Didn't they have a commercial there a while back?
Well, he was just representing them.
Right. But, you got to wonder who's in Bob's ear right now. Who might be, I don't know how to put it, giving him bad information or what they think is good information, like, hey, Bob, you've got a case. I'd read maybe yesterday that now they're saying that the city of Pittsburgh or the township is going to drop the DUI case against him.
Yes, because they got what they call deferring it, and he's qualifies for it, where it will actually be expunged, is what I'm told. Lee, is that correct?
I think that's a term we would use.
Okay. So does that change? Does that change everything? If this is expunged, it didn't happen. So maybe Coach thinks
legality-wise, it would change that, but not the actual resigning or walking out. Because right now, the thing is that apparently June went ahead and sent that by email because Huggins does an email. So he doesn't use the school system. You're killing me, man. Stop it. All right. He doesn't use that. So June went out and did that. I think that's what they're claiming, and he's not going to have any legalities. My issue is, I'll throw this up to you, Al, is why is this in public? I mean, Bob Huggins comes out with a statement yesterday, and like an hour later, the university goes ahead and rebuts it in the public. I mean, this is not even leaks. We're releasing this. This is a press statement. Shouldn't this be behind closed doors?
Well, you'd think, but I think that, I don't know if you agree with me, but it sounds like, what's it called? Sticking it to the man. Maybe Coach Huggins is trying to stick it to the U, trying to stick it to Gee.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Okay, you're bringing that in. Okay, go ahead. Continue with that.
I'm just saying that's, why would you play this out in a public forum unless you were trying to, I don't think he realistically I don't know his mind, but I'm just saying, I don't think he realistically thinks he's going to get his job back. But I think in the poll of public opinion, he's trying to get the fans to rally behind him, and his point is in terms of getting his total compensation package, and also to make West Virginia look bad. I mean, to me that's what it sounds like, and it smells like. But things like this. If you're going to settle, you do. And Lee, you might answer this. I mean, if you're going to settle, you do it behind closed doors. I don't do it out. I don't air my laundry out in the open.
Well, I think you're right, Coach. But keep in mind, there was like some not outcry, but on social media, there were some people saying, you know what, it seemed like there was not a lot of momentum, but some people who were saying, hey, maybe we were too hasty. And I wonder if he's building on that, Coach, like what you said. He's like, this is my opportunity, and this is better played out in a public forum than maybe in a private forum, since I have what seemed like some fans in my corner. And so if that's the case, maybe you take that calculated risk and say, hey, let's do this in a public forum so I can get some momentum or something.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. I mean, the thing was he only given supposedly 30 minutes to either retire or resign without
rumored by
potentially without legal counsel. I mean, if that's true, I don't know if it's true.
No, but what they're saying is that you didn't give him time, and obviously it was at 10:30 or 11. If he's got what he's got the night before, I don't think he is in that sound mind that Lee referred to. So I mean, again, without any legal counsel, then there's this discussion. I went ahead and I said I would go into rehab just to prove that I am able to continue on with my duties once I get out. And so it's a big mishmash. Now, I'm going to say this, DP. Is this what Al says? Is this a shot for the leader, the big guy, or would you say the bow tie guy? And that's President Gee.
He's definitely going after him. You know what I mean? So it's, like you said, in public, the public opinion, there was some people, there are a lot of people on social media was like, oh, give him his job back. It was just one mistake. Yes, this and that. But at the end of the day, is it one mistake? If it's two, then we don't know about the other ones. You know what I mean? Because they're not, for us to honestly know. And, this is a situation where even if the lawyers wasn't there when he was asked to resign, to retire, or whatever, he did it. He did it. It's going to be either that or get fired. So he's not getting his job back. You know what I mean? Either way, maybe if he's trying to get his money, I don't know how many years he has left in his contract. If he gets fired, he has to get all that money. But if he resigns, they'll have to pay him. Maybe that's what he's trying to do to recoup that money. But to say he's going to coach, he's undermining the coach that's already there now. He's undermining the program. He's undermining the school and the state. What does this do to his legacy there? Do you celebrate him after this? I don't think so. I don't, This is not President G's problem. President G didn't say what he said on the radio, or he drove that car in Pittsburgh. And if it's President G getting in a DUI, we're gonna lock him up. We're gonna get him out of there. He's gonna be out of there. If I was a coach, I'm out of there. If Allan was a coach, he's out of there. So I think he's weighing on people's emotions, because people like him. A lot of people love Bob Huggins. Don't get me wrong. So he's fighting for those people to have his back, to put pressure on certain people, and and now I think it's kind of reversing against him now, because now people are like, just let this team go, let it go. Yeah. The best move he could have done was let the year play out, come back next year and ask to be reinstated.
Yep. Well, let me ask you this then: if that is President Gee, is he allowed to drive?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. My gosh, I don't know. I'm going to stay out of trouble. We got enough people in trouble right now. I'm going to stay out of it. But right here, we're looking at this with Bob Huggins. This does not make me happy. But it's important. Is you look at this. Bob Huggins claims West Virginia forged his resignation statement, and this is in the Daily Mail U.S. Big enough. This is the guy over here, and this is who resigned from WVU last month. Bob Huggins. And the reason why I put this up again is now this is turning into
mockery,
laughing stage. And again, going back to what you're just saying, DP, is this how we want to remember Bob Huggins with that silly picture right there, which is not. Yeah. And my thing is, I think that if he really thinks he's going to be able to coach again, I think he might be getting some bad advice. And that is, honestly, I think the tide has turned with this kind of thing. Now, if you went back and Josh Eiler was the interim, and then a year from now you went ahead and, there might be some room in going backwards and not burning any bridges while you're at it at the same time. So, Lee, what do you think about that, the way he's handled this? Like, you want to come back. You're saying, I'm going to resume my duties when there's already an interim coach hired and a staff hired.
There's no precedent for it. And don't forget, I get where somewhere in there's an allegation of that he felt like he was coerced into making this deal over a 30-minute period or something. But keep in mind, the agreement was written by his counsel, and they had conversations about, hey, you're supposed to be certified mail. Can we email it to you? And the general counsel for the university said, yeah, you can email it from your wife's email. And don't forget, there's a lawyer helping him draft that separation agreement. And so that whole coercion argument, if you will, hey, you gave me 30 minutes to make up my mind. I don't think that resonates because, he was represented by a really good lawyer. And at the time, it felt like the right thing to do. No one said, this is an awful idea. It felt like, no, this is, for whatever reason, it felt like the right thing to do.
But listen to this though. Okay, so he was in a bad position. He was feeling bad, whatever it all may be. But now it looks like he's gonna get out of his legalities, and he feels like he kind of got railroaded, is what I'm taking from this. Now, how bad though is it to go public with this? Again, it's a public fight between the university and him, and I don't see him winning against the university.
I have a question. I have a question for Al.
Well, let Lee finish this first. Go ahead.
I know, okay. Just that, that's a fair point. The man, you don't kick a man while he's down, but the time to raise that, I don't know. But it's just, that's a fair point you raise. And I think it suggests to me there might be more to it, or more, okay, this is the last straw. And so I don't know the whole story about the entire however many years he's been coaching the Mountaineers. I don't know how many other events that were maybe close calls but not reported. I don't know. But it feels a little bit like the university saying, listen, enough is enough. But we'll see how it plays out. And maybe he comes back just like MacArthur, and it ends up, who knows? We'll see.
I shall return. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, DP. Get your question.
So a question for Lee. So all this does become a legality. It does go to court. So do the university subpoena people that been in his corner before and ask those questions about him drinking and other things? And does that come into play?
If this becomes full blown litigation, again, Darryl, you're out of my wheelhouse a little bit, but as a trial lawyer, hell yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, if we're going to air our dirty laundry, yeah. And so somewhere in there, I would think a private conversation between lawyers. You really want to do this? Because,
Wow.
I don't know. I have no idea what's out there. But I would think if someone, and that's why you do separation agreements, you do it quiet, and that's why you leave.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's the whole point about this.
Right.
His reputation is being tarnished naturally.
And so I don't think doing what he's doing. I think there's potential pitfalls there. I don't know. I don't know I don't know what his personal life is like, but I'm going to, I don't know. So, I think that's a real possibility.
Go ahead, Keith.
A question for Lee. Wait a minute,
I'm as smart as Lee is. Just look at my grades.
Dale, we're giving your brain a rest today, man. After the incident with the Cincinnati radio station, and obviously he was brought in, Guy, Wren, I don't know who else would have been involved. At that point, was his contract possibly restructured since they took money from him? All these type things that they said he was going to have to do to get back in good graces.
Keith, that's a great question. I have no idea, but that's a fair question, and that might it might be maybe they did. That's a really great question, and I suspect maybe we'll find that out. But I've got no idea. But that's a plausible response to that first infraction, which is you got a whatever game suspension. It could be.
They drew the line in the sand on him, and they may have put some clauses in there to protect them for the next time.
It does feel like this is ultimately it's enough is enough. That's what this feels like a little bit.
Okay. Very good. Now, Al, Reno here, does the organization not give him opportunity for a soft landing? Now, the battle ones have been drawn. The battle lines, I guess you're saying, have been drawn, and this is going to get ugly unless somebody will back up and figure out a way to make this work. Excellent point, Reno. Just learn how to type. Okay. Al, go ahead with that one.
Well, I tell you what, it's tough. I mean, we're basing everything we know on social media, and we're looking to responses. I mean,
but they're releasing it on social media.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they're he said. I don't know. I mean, did they? I guess we don't know what happened after the first incident. 5 weeks ago. I mean, of course, was he put on probation? There was no 3-strike rule. It must have been a 2-strike rule. Hey, one more strike, Bob, and you're out. I mean, we don't know what that apparent conversation was. We know that he was his salary was reduced, etc. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just I don't know if we. Do you give him a soft landing? That's the question. I mean, you can take it both ways.
Wait a minute. When a person, I should say a guy, when a person asks for help or that they're going to go into rehab, that to go ahead, I think the best thing in my mind, if I was handling this in my way, I would say, hey, listen, you're on leave, unpaid leave, whatever you want to call it. All right, you're on leave. Until we're not even going to talk about coaching. We're not going to talk about anything until you go ahead and get better. I mean, I think legality-wise, Lee, I guess I'd have to go back to you on that because it just seems to me that would be the proper way. But now it's all this, they said, they did. And it's hard to determine this without going through litigation, I guess, without this being the way it is. Am I right or wrong?
Great point. And now I'm going to take off my legal hat and put on my fan hat. And then you've got a coach that's dead in the water, a lame duck. Yeah. And for the same reason that people fire coaches mid-season so they can get someone else, And so there's that aspect. I don't know if that played a part or not, but you got a coach in rehab. Of course, I don't know. That is a fair response. And I do wonder, going back to what Al said, that's an absolutely fair response is, listen, let's take a month and do a reset. First, you go get better. clear your head and let's talk about what the future looks like. I don't know if the AD has an appetite for that or not, but that's certainly a fair response because I think that happens in a lot of other contexts. But this is a little different where we have recruits and so on and so forth. I don't know, but that is yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go around this here before we get on to one more subject I want to do for today. But unless anybody's got anything else they want to contribute to this conversation, Al, let's start out with you.
I don't.
Go ahead. You want to
think,
start out? I'll let you do it.
Yeah, I think somebody in the chat, he needs help. Did he follow instructions? I don't think he ever follows instructions. One, I think two, from what I've heard, in January, I heard this that if he gets one more DUI, he's done. I heard that from a reliable source. You know what I mean? Like, then the fans forget they was asking him to retire in January and they was going through that issue. Last year was not a good year either, the year before. So, now, he's fighting for this. It's so messy. They're definitely wrong for going back and forth in public.
Right.
But what they also trying to do is protect themselves in public too by responding to it.
Yep.
You got to respond with ugly with facts. And it seems like that's what they're doing. And it's sad that he's reaching like this. He could have went privately and said something. Maybe something was said privately. He didn't like it. Now he's going publicly. Maybe he cleared his mind going to rehab and he's thinking different. And that's another problem. You know what I mean? Like, they clean out his office. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden now you want your office back. Because you lost the power. It's just, the Sports Illustrated picked this up. USA Today has wrote an article, and it doesn't look good for Huggins on this thing right now. It's just not the way he's going about it.
Okay. Excellent points, DP. Can't argue with that. Al, go ahead.
I don't like the negative impact that has on the university, on the state of West Virginia, on the athletic department. I don't like the impact. You know what? No one wins. No one, regardless of what happens, everybody loses. And I think that, to continue to keep this wound fresh and keep it open, it's a lose proposition. And I just wish it could have been better. I mean, you think about, coach's legacy. I mean, it's, from this point on, it's never going to be the same. I mean, and I don't care whether you're a fan or you're not a fan. It's just, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And it's not the way it should have been. But I just hope that he gets the help he needs. And I hope that he looks back and comes out and reflects on, hey, I should have done this better. And hey, I was wrong. And maybe this will help somebody else going forward.
Okay. Keith, I brought you out here because you are the Hawkeye for Mountaineer Nation. You're that person that's out there as a fan that's just hearing this and that. What's your take on it, brother?
Well, I've been a Bob Huggins fan for many years, but to me, this boils down. It's almost childish on his part. The writing's on the wall for him. I'm not a fan of the double standard. He's Bob Huggins. He's the head coach. He's the face of WVU basketball. If it was any of us, we're up the creek without a paddle right now. He needs to face reality. This is a man that's lost everything. You don't know what he's thinking, where his mind's at. He might be in panic mode. I've got to do something. The writing's on the wall for him. He's done, and he needs to ride off into the sunset while he's still got a little bit of dignity and maybe his legacy intact.
Okay. Lee.
Haven't I said it all? Other than it's I don't understand.
Is that your music box from when you were doing yoga for a weekend?
I got to tell you what, my takeaway when it was all over, I said I felt like I'd gone through 2 days. It was hard, man.
That's what I hear. I hear that. All right, I do. But go ahead, finish up.
No, it's just I'll be curious to see. I mean, I sincerely curious as a lawyer to see how this plays out because, again, it's not my wheelhouse, but normally I can look at a pleading or a position and kind of figure out where someone's aiming. I've got no clue here. And so we'll see how it works out. It'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
All right, that right there is from Joey Foster. All right, Joe, you're just getting here. Well, you can go ahead and check it out. A lot of good stuff going on. You know what? I did this with Joe's yesterday, and I really felt like there's a lot to this. And, you know, Lee, Al, you guys got a long history here with West Virginia. And DP, you're going to go ahead and talk. But Keith, you know, you got a really long history, just as much as anybody else. And right here, and we're looking at all this negativity and the shortfallings that's coming from not enough students now coming in there. There are going to be shortfalls money-wise. People at the university are going to get laid off. The non-essentials, that's the way they always say that. But again, it's happening. And now you see Bob Huggins and this whole thing, national. But then it's still national when you flip it over to the other gem, which, of course, is football. And, Lee, I'm going to start with you first because you dropped the bomb on the other one. So I'll see what you have to say about this. But 14th in the Big 12, that's 3 G5s that are right ahead. Now, again, let me just state this. This is a media poll. I don't put a whole ton of stock in the media polls because I could sit down with a media person and tell them to break down a play for me, and they'll be like, well, the ball carrier got 5 yards. That's a good play. Okay, so it's not that I'm going to sit there, but they do listen to what coaches say. So here's the media poll. It has West Virginia last. I can't recall West Virginia in my lifetime being last in anything in football.
Well, in today's football, tradition maybe doesn't matter as much as it used to, and I think that's a reflection, almost probably point by point, of the economies. And with NIL money, that's almost a perfect representation of Texas probably has the biggest economy, and work your way down. And I think that could be an economic poll or a GDP poll.
So you're saying that Iowa State has more than we do at 10?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, with some exceptions. But, I mean, by and large, I think it's going to be harder and harder to compete going forward when, you got to have really rich people willing to throw a lot of money at a program. And I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge going forward if the status quo remains with the NIL money.
Okay. All right, then, Keith, I'm going to throw that at you. And then Al, you'll be next. Go ahead, Keith.
I can see where Lee's coming from if you just look at that, yeah, money. But I look at it, they're basing that on the talent that's on hand this year. And that says a lot about West Virginia and I guess what these media writers are looking at is we're not a very good football team. It's kind of hard to argue that with what we've seen over the past couple of seasons. And I'll just leave that at that.
Al?
I like what Lee said, and Keith, what you said. It's I don't know. You're talking about if you base it on history, that's probably in the most recent history. That's where we belong. But the game's still played on the field. It's not played on paper. So you can rank us wherever you want to rank us. I still let the cards fall wherever they may fall. But let's go into this season with a positive attitude, and let's don't give up on these kids. I mean, these are still 18 to 22-year-olds, and you got a coaching staff that's busting their tail every day. And I can't imagine the stress that's on these coaches, Coach Brown, going into the season. But I don't know. You know what? You can look at it both ways. Hey, we can bludgeon them, and we can jump on them and jump on their backs and be negative, or we can take a positive route and say, hey, let's see what we got. It's what does they say? Practice makes perfect. That's not true. It's what perfect practice makes perfect. So what I mean by that is that the stars line up, kids grow, they mature, they're 1 year older. Now they've got a large chip on their shoulder, and they've got a chance to go out and prove these polls wrong. So I've been coaching long enough. I don't believe you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think other people think you are.
Really, because that was pretty darn awesome. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Just kidding now. All right, DP, man, finish up on what you want to say. I know we talked yesterday about this, but go ahead. Remind me what you said.
I agree with Al. You know, I mean, like you have to play the games. You know, it's rankings are rankings. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right. But at the end of the day, you have to go on the field and perform. You know, players make plays. So, hopefully, with the one thing I don't like, and I mentioned it to somebody before. I think it was a tweet talking about how bad this team is or that thing is, and I was like, if we're doing this on Twitter, how do you expect us to get good players when everybody in the world is watching Twitter? How you expect for us, the fans, you bashing how the team is playing. Why do you think a player want to come here to get bashed? Football and basketball. And I think, sometimes we got to take it for what it is. They're still 18, 19, 20 years old. They're still developing. It's some of it might be their fault, some of it might not be their fault. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be supportive, be supportive. But when you start putting that stuff on Twitter and you got these recruits, man, just like when Emmett Matthews left, it was mostly because of what the fans were saying. Then he comes back and he's the greatest thing in the world. You can't have it both ways. So I think, you got to play the game, see how this thing plays out. We might end up being in the top 10. You know what I mean? And we go from there. You just can't keep changing coaches every 3 to 4 to 5 years and think you're going to have a program. That's just a bunch of teams.
All right, that's a different subject now when you say talking about that with the coaches, because you can't change every 4 to 5 years, but if you're in a bad direction after 5 years, then you better start thinking about changing direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's just the cold truth of it. And that's 5 years is that's
enough.
Nowadays, that's a little more time than normal, I would say. Yeah. But regardless, okay, so basically, as I got all what you're thinking about that, and I do believe that this team right now is being shafted. But the reason why I brought this up, Bob Huggins, West Virginia, open war going on, not behind the scenes, black eyes going all back and forth, uppercuts, crosses, jabs, everything being thrown. And then you have Kirk Herbstreit, Pat McAfee, laughing about WVU football, making it supposed to be a joke. Okay, that's black eye. Then you have reports from WVU University, shortfalls, attendance problems, and we could go back and it's factually proven in trials at your sports teams in football and basketball, but mainly football. You will have better attendance the better team that you have. So all these factors influence together. And that's why I came about with yesterday is WVU athletics in a dumpster fire right now. And that's the real quick question. A couple words. Al, go ahead. Are they in a dumpster fire right now?
What's that? What's the question?
Are they in a dumpster fire right now?
No, I think I don't think there's enough. No, I don't think it's a dumpster fire. I mean, is there chaos? Is there disruption? Is there a lot of negativity around the program? But no, I mean, hey, you know what? Guess what? Sun's coming up tomorrow. It's still going to shine. It's still going to shine, brother. You know what? Hey, it may be cloudy today and yesterday and the day before, but it's going to get better. We're going to get through this, and you know what? It's going to work its way out one way or another with football and basketball. So, you know what? Hey, if you're one of those, what do you call them, bandwagon jumpers? If you're one of those people, hey, go to Walmart, go to Lowe's, buy some athletic tape, and tape your ankles up, okay? If you're going to jump on and off the bandwagon. You're either on the wagon or off the wagon.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. With my age, I'm going to have to tape up my hip, my ankles, my knees. Everything. I got to get the full battle over. Okay, let's go, Lee. Are they in a dumpster fire right now?
No, they haven't played a ball game yet. Hell no.
Amen.
All right. That's said from our legal counsel of the day. Okay, Ed, Hawkeye, what do you say?
I definitely think there's some smoke coming out of the dumpster. But you're at the bottom. We're at the bottom and everything. So you can only go up. So they got to put a chip on their shoulder, football, basketball, and play their way out of this. I mean, winning, as Big Jaw says, man, winning cures everything.
All right, good news. The DP dumpster fire. What did you say yesterday? I can't even remember.
Which means it's the head.
We standing on the ledge, getting ready to jump in the dumpster. So, what everybody else said, but we're on that ledge right now. We're looking at it. We haven't jumped in it yet, but we're looking at it.
All right, fellas, great topics. Great. Well, I don't know about great topics, but solid topics. Solid. Hey, you take a tough situation and you make it better today. And hopefully we're going to work through this. I appreciate all of you. Keith Hawkins, thank you very much. Allan Johnson, thank you. DP, Darryl Prue, we'll see you tomorrow. You got a segment on coaching with basketball. And then James Lee, we're going to you on any time, man. Only because you're going to represent not the legality side, but the yoga world, baby. Oh, yoga.
God, I'm sorry I scared that.
Have a great day, fellas. Take care now.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy it.
See you guys. Take care.
God bless you all. Oh, that is a good subject, my friends. We got panels like that. It's absolutely fantastic. We're going to have more panel tomorrow. We're going to still continue about this. There's a lot of Mountaineers that want to say things. I want to talk about this situation. And I think you have to let it all out. You have to let people talk because I do believe it is that important. And moving along here to Joey, Joey says that that the voice of college football, the Mark Rogers TV, and the voice of college football, Mark Rogers TV has about 27 different channels of the voice of college football. This is Voice of College Football, West Virginia, but it was just ranked as the #1 YouTube TV altogether, our YouTube site for college football. All right, Joe, you got your point out there is a cross. Good job. And that even beat ESPN's YouTube. So the voice of college football, what this is on YouTube. Yeah, we're #1. Very good about that. And anyone else have a question? This is your opportunity. Ask a question if you want it. Anybody want to come on? I'll go ahead and I'll drop the link. I forgot to do it earlier because we had such a thing going on, but I will go ahead. I will sit here and copy this and release it and paste and put out. It is out. If you want to come on, this is your opportunity to come on. If you're there, if you're at the voice, the WolfMan's Call Network, if you're out there, you got to love it, man. We got the Brickside Grill right there in Bridgeport. And Rob Davis, you got the barbecue, Mason Jar BBQ and More in Fairmont. You got the Mason Jar at Hotspot, the Saloon and Hotspot in Morgantown. You got Legends Golf Sports Bar and Grill in Morgantown. You got the Tap House, the Mountaineer Tap House in Morgantown. In Teays Valley, you have the Pallet Bar. Yeah, gotta love that. And of course, in Weirton, West Virginia, what do you have? You have Route 22, baby. Yeah, I've been down that road, going out there to the Starling Amphitheater, and what a place that is. Bottoms up, the draft system. They've all joined the league. If you want to go ahead and join the network, all you got to do is email wolfmanscall@gmail.com. wolfmanscall@gmail.com. Anybody want to get out here? Alex Martin, do you want to come on? Since you're up there, you had a question for Al Johnson and Mickey Marotti, and you're saying that Georgia beats them with conditioning. I'm going to tell you right now, Alex, I love it. Most of your comments, but that one I'm going to tell you, Al Johnson's going to say no because he has the highest regard for Mickey, and Mickey is an incredible strength coach and conditioning coach. And Alan trained him too, so there's a little bit of loyalty there as well. Anyone else? Alex, you got to come on. Let's see, Joey, do you want to get out here and talk about that? Talk about being #1. This is your chance, man. If you're going to do it, get on, because I'm about ready to say, see ya. Anyone? Any questions? All righty. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you this. It's been a couple tough days. It's a tough time for Coach Huggins and his family. And no matter what is going on right now, there's always going to be a love for Bob Huggins. He's a friend of mine. I've stood up for him before. I'm not standing up for him. I'm not saying that he deserves his job. I'm not saying any of that. Never have. But I will say is I will never leave a friend in a ditch when they're down. I will never, ever do that. And I will stand on a wall for a friend because that's what friends do. And they're there for support. And judge me not. It really doesn't matter because what we do to us is important and how we are about ourselves, what we think of ourselves. And again, I've taken a lot of heat for standing by the Bear, but the Bear, I stand. Not about getting his job back, nothing to do with that. I stand by him for him to know that I'll always be there if he needs me. And anything else, we're going to find out. It's all going to come out. And I will say, I said, get your house in order, WVU. Well, everybody should get their house. And I'm not one that throws stones at glass houses. I got my own glasses I need to keep straight. So with that being said, I do think the more we can be amicable, the more we can work things out, maybe go backstage, maybe get out of the press, maybe stop these open releases, maybe it would be better for all. And with all that being said, God bless you all. Have a great day. And we will be here tomorrow, 4 o'clock on the WolfMan's Call. We'll see you.
Hi, I'm Traylon Davis. I'm from Jackson, Ohio, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We had that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia. Always in stock. All many, the anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery. As easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy. Stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.